Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the channel. My name is John Campea, and this is Open Mic. Open Mic is a lot like the John Campea Show, but really all we focus on is taking your questions. And we're going to take questions two ways today. Number one, we're going to take some questions that have been building up in our tip questions that you guys have been sending in. Obviously, we didn't get to any tip questions while we were in Las Vegas covering Cinemacon, and I am freshly back from Las Vegas visiting Cinemacon. We're going to be talking about that a little bit here. But then also for those of you watching live, we have also opened up the super chat. So if you have questions you want to ask live, go ahead and throw it in the super chats and we will get to those once we get through a number of the tip questions that have been sent in. Yeah, so good to see you guys. It's good to be back in studio. Ann and I got back from Las Vegas very, very early yesterday morning. And then went on to go see Guardians of the Galaxy screening last night. And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But I want to start off today by I really want to put a movie on your radar. In case it isn't already, I really, really, really want to put a movie on your radar. Now, there were 3 full screenings at Cinemacon. A lot of footage, a lot of exclusive stuff, a lot of extended scenes, but 3 full movies that they showed us. One was Boogeyman, which I skipped out on, and it sounds like it was a good idea that I skipped out on it. None of the rest of the guys liked it. One was The Flash, and we're going to talk about The Flash here in a bit. One was the comedy Joyride. And this is a movie that the Red Band trailer looks very funny. All right. The Red Band trailer looks very, very funny. But I've seen a lot of comedies that have funny trailers, and then you go and watch it, and it turns out they put all the funny stuff in the trailers. All right. Without any exaggeration, Joyride might be the flat out funniest pure comedy that I may have seen in the last 5 years. The funniest pure comedy I may have seen in the last 5 years. Ann and Rob were both literally in tears laughing. Like laughing so hard, tears were coming out of their eyes. And I will also say this. It is the filthiest the filthiest comedy I have ever seen. I mean, yeah, maybe you could say there's some NC-17 movies that have jokes that might be dirtier. Okay, but for R-rated comedy, I have never seen a filthier comedy. It's dirty, but it is absolutely phenomenal. And I remember when they were about to show the movie, the director of the film came out, and she, by the way, she was also the writer. She wrote and directed this film, and she also wrote Raya and the Last Dragon, and she also wrote Crazy Rich Asians. And she came out on screen, on stage, and the president of Lionsgate said, why was this the movie you wanted to make? And she said, because after working on Raya and the Last Dragon for so long, I really wanted to tell dick jokes. And that set it up. And by the way, a little bit of trivia for you. See how above the title, you got the little tagline for all the movies have taglines now. Their tagline is 4 friends, 1 trip, no luck. Okay. Now that might sound weird. But I found out why the tagline is 4 friends, 1 trip, no luck. I found out because I talked to an executive at Lionsgate. I got a text message from an executive at Lionsgate who told me that up until very, very recent, until they aired the movie at South by Southwest for the very first time, the name of Joyride, the movie, and this is 100% true, the name of Joyride was not Joyride. The name of the movie for the longest time until Lionsgate's PR decided to change, or Lionsgate's marketing decided to change it at the last minute. The name of the movie was The Joy Fuck Club. I'm not kidding. And when they told me that, I said, "You're joking. Like, I don't believe you. That's a joke." That cannot be actually true. So no. The name of Joyride, right up until not long before they played at South by Southwest, was the Joy Fuck Club. And by the way, the movie's got the incredible Stephanie Sue, who was in Shang-Chi, and she just got an Academy Award nomination for being in Everything Everywhere All at Once. She was Michelle Yeoh's daughter. And she's super, super hot right now. Her career right now is super, super hot. But again, guys, listen, put this movie on your radar. I am not telling you it's the greatest comedy of all time. I am not telling you that this is a movie that will fundamentally change your life. I am simply telling you, you are going to fucking walk out of this movie having been very entertained. Unless you're very prudish. Like if you don't like dirty stuff, if you don't like swearing, maybe this movie will make you uncomfortable. Don't take your kids to go see this. But I mean, if you just want to go and have a good time and laugh, and by the way, this is a movie you should go watch with friends. Take a group of you. Go with 3, 4, 5, 6 friends. Go and watch this movie. Men loved it. Women loved it. Like my wife, Anne, the moment we came out, she started texting her girlfriend saying, this movie, let's start making plans right now that we're all going to go watch this movie together. It is so funny. They really, really curse. And Seth Rogen is the producer of the film. And it's just really, really good. And that to me was maybe my biggest pleasant surprise coming out of Cinemacon. Was that screening. And listen, I'm not saying what movie is better or not, but I actually enjoyed Joyride more than I enjoyed Flash. And if you guys saw my review, you know I think Flash is great. Flash is great. I had a great time watching it. Fabulous movie. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But even though I liked Flash that much, the one I had more fun at, the one I was more entertained by and came out with a bigger idiot grin on my face. I came out of both movies with a big idiot grin on my face, but the one I came out with the bigger idiot grin on my face was Joyride. I still want to say the Joy Fuck Club. That was Joyride. And listen, comedy is very subjective. Maybe it won't work as well for you as it did for me and the 5,000 other people that watched it in that theater the other day, but woo, I'm telling you guys, go watch Joyride. Go watch Joyride. And I think you will. I think there's a very, very high chance you're going to have a good time. All right. Okay, with that down, guys, before we get to the questions, there's a question I've been getting asked a lot over the past, 16 hours or so. Of course, at Cinemacon, I got to go watch The Flash. Had a fabulous time with it. I don't believe it is what James Gunn said, one of the best comic book movies ever made. Like, it's not in the same league with Logan or The Dark Knight or, stuff like that. But it's really effing good. It's real good. Like really, really good. And then last night I went to go see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And I didn't know what to expect from it. I mean, I really liked I loved the Guardians Holiday Special. And it kind of picks up where that leaves off a little bit. There are several references in the movie to the Holiday Special. And I came out of it last night and I did a quick out of the theater review. You can see it. It's up on the YouTube channel now. And I said, that it was great. James Gunn did it again. James Gunn gave a great swan song for this group of Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, it's not a spoiler. James Gunn has been telling us for over a year that this is the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie that will be this collection of Guardians of the Galaxy. Actually, one of our channel members, Victor Rodriguez, just sent in a message saying, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Volume 3 last night, and oh my God, it was the most emotional Marvel movie I've ever seen. I can't wait to see it again next Sunday. I had a great time at it. And there is a moment in this movie that is so emotional. I think everybody in the theater was kind of tearing up a bit. Everybody was tearing up. Everybody was emotional. I mean, there's some great humor in it, but some big questions get asked, some really heavy emotional moments in it. It's just a really, really good movie. My one knock on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, though, and it's not a perfect movie. There are a few things that could have been done better, but the one biggest problem I had with Guardians of the Galaxy was Adam Warlock. Totally wasted character. Totally wasted. They did not do a good job with Adam Warlock. And honestly, in many ways, Adam Warlock didn't even really need to be in the movie. I mean, they did have Adam Warlock do a couple of key things. They had Warlock do a couple of key things, but they could have even come up with other things that accomplished those things. They just didn't do a good job with Adam Warlock. But that was my biggest problem with the movie. And the thing is, Adam Warlock is really not in the movie much. All right, they keep the focus of the movie on the Guardians. This is really a Rocket. Rocket is kind of takes center stage in this movie. It's really more about Rocket's origin stories and his ties to the High Evolutionary and all that kind of stuff. But that was like, yeah. Den71 is saying, if Adam Warlock is a wasted character, doesn't that say a lot about how Gunn will treat Superman? No, what? That's Adam Warlock, a brand new, totally side character in a movie versus the title character of a movie. It says nothing about it. Adam Warlock is not even the 6th most important character in the movie. Because if you're talking about the most important characters in Guardians of the Galaxy, in no particular order, you're talking in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, you're talking about Rocket, Peter, Nebula, Drax, Mantis, High Evolutionary, Groot. By the way, Cosmo is great in it. And then somewhere down around number 6, number 7, or number 8 position is a very, very side character in the movie, Adam Warlock, that doesn't even have a lot of screen time. And that number 6, 7, or 8 most important character in the movie with not a lot of screen time, that one character wasn't handled very well. But you look at it's 1,000 times more important that you handle the first most important character good, and the second most important character, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth, before you worry about the 7th, 8th, and 9th. If you want to know how well James Gunn handles his main characters, watch Slither. If you want to know how well James Gunn handles his main characters, watch Peacemaker. If you want to know how well James Gunn handles his main characters, watch his Suicide Squad movie. If you want to know how good James Gunn handles his main character, but Superman is not a 6th, 7th, or 8th most important side little character in the Superman movie. Superman is the star of Superman. James Gunn will do great with Superman. Of that, I have no doubt. So another question I'm getting asked, Warlocks in the live chat is asking, should people sensitive to animal cruelty go watch the movie? No. I'm not going to go into detail. I think you gleaned a lot from the trailers. If you are really sensitive to animal cruelty, if you're like so sensitive that it completely leaves you distraught and you can't focus on anything else, then you may want to take a pass on Guardians of the Galaxy. Because the bad guy is a bad guy. And yeah, there's that. Anyway, so but overall, it's a great movie. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, great movie. It's the first it's the first Marvel film that I've walked out like this thoroughly enjoying since Shang-Chi. Because I haven't like walked out super thrilled with any Marvel movie since Shang-Chi. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Jose Ramirez is asking, does the Guardians team change by the end or a new Guardians of the Galaxy team is established? I'm not going to answer that question either positively or negatively because I'm not going to go into details about the movie. Anyway, so the question that I've been getting from a lot of people over the past 12 whatever hours or so has been, what's better? Because we as fans cannot resist comparing, right? And I get it. That's part of being a fan. We compare. I totally get it. So which is better? Is Guardians of the Galaxy better? Or is The Flash better? These are two different movies, but they have several similarities. One, their main pillars are the fun, the humor, the action, and both have all those things with a core emotional foundation that gets brought up a number of times throughout the respective movies. So both Guardians of the Galaxy and Flash have great humor, some great action sequences, some great fun, but amidst all that, they both have some really heavy emotional lifting, with some really emotional, deep questions to ask. And we as an audience feel very emotional watching them in a couple of places. So while they are two very different movies, they are similar in that way. So, which of the two movies is better? I am not going to punt on this. I'm not going to punt. I'm going to give you my answer about which one I think is better. But remember, this is just me giving my own personal subjective opinion of my experiences watching them. And also keep in mind, I think both of these movies are great. I said coming out of Guardians of the Galaxy last night that this is the first time in a while that I've seen two comic book movies back to back that I really loved both of them. It's been a long time since I saw two comic book movies back to back where I came out going, oh, that was so good, right? And I can say that about both The Flash and Guardians of the Galaxy. So, with that said, I personally think if I had the option, if I got a call from DC and from Marvel today, and they both said you can come and watch either The Flash again tonight or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 again tonight, you can only pick one. The one I'm going to go watch is, you know what? I'm not even going to answer that yet. I'm going to put up a poll. I'm going to put up a poll for you guys watching live. Do you think I'm going to say Flash or Guardians? And I'll say Flash. I'll say Flash and Guardians. Okay, so I'm going to put that up. I've just put up a poll. I want to see what you guys think I'm going to say. Which one you think I'm going to do. So I just got the poll up there now. And you guys can start firing them. Okay, so already we've got 220, 250 respondents. 66% of you think I'm going to say Flash. 34% of you think I'm going to say Guardians. All right. Here we go. The movie that I think, personally for me, if I had to choose which one to go see tonight again, either Flash or Guardians of the Galaxy 3, love them both. Flash. And again, that is not because of anything done badly in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They're both great. They're both fantastic. But Flash was just a little bit more satisfying for me. And by the way, both films have their issues. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, to me, it was how they handled Adam Warlock. That character, again, I think that was the one misstep. One of the most recognizable and identifiable misstep of the movie for me was the handling of Adam Warlock. For Flash, I can't go into details about what my biggest issue is. If this was the open spoiler discussion, I could tell you, but it has something to do with the third act of the film that I think really could have been handled better. But at any rate, in both cases, the good of both movies far outweigh the bad. And it's great. They're both great. But for me, if I had to pick one to go see again, it's going to go see The Flash. They're both fantastic. Both are great. And I think you're going to have a great time watching both of them. And how good is it to be a comic book movie fan right now? Because we've had some struggles, brothers and sisters. We have had some struggles lately. We have had a hard time lining up two comic book movies in a row that we can go to and say, that was great and that was great. It's been a while, right? Like I liked Shazam 2 quite a bit. I think I like Shazam 1 better, but, you know, Black Adam, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania wasn't very good. You know, it's been a bit. And now we're going to get to see two big comic book movies in a row that I think not everybody, that's hyperbole, but I think most people are going to have a really, really good time. And I personally think maybe even a little bit better of a time at Flash. But I will say this too. Guardians of the Galaxy is going to kick the shit out of the Flash at the box office. Guardians of the Galaxy. And I will say this too. While I believe that Flash was a ever so slightly more enjoyable film at the box office, and this may sound weird, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is a slightly more satisfying movie. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that? Like, I do think Flash overall was kind of the better experience by a little bit. And if I had to pick one, I'd go see Flash tonight. But at the same time, Guardians is, and I can't exactly say why, because spoilers, but I found Guardians of the Galaxy, I walked out feeling very satisfied. You know, that if this indeed was the final Guardians movie with this collection of characters, I walked out going, that was very satisfying. It was a very, very, very satisfying ending. It's a more satisfying ending than the end of The Flash. Guys, the bottom line is here, be happy, get excited. Both of these movies are really good. And damn it, we've needed that. Damn it, we have needed that. And it's good to see that for me, they have delivered. They have delivered. So I like that a lot. All right, guys, listen, I know we're probably going to be talking a lot more about Flash, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because I'm sure a bunch of you guys have already been firing in questions. We'll get to those in a bit. But first, we're going to kick things off here with our questions by taking questions that have been sent in to our tip link. Now, again, I've been in Vegas. You know, me, Ann, Ray, Rob, Chris, we all went to Vegas for Cinemacon, so we haven't been taking any of the questions there. We've been covering Cinemacon. So some of these questions might sound like they're a little late, and that's okay, but we're going to get caught up on some of those here. And then once we get through a bunch of these tip questions, we're going to take your live questions that you guys who are watching live right now, have been sending in. All right, so let's get things started here, shall we? We're going to start off with Eddie Burton, who writes, curious, with Stallone and Schwarzenegger's careers in their third acts, who do you think is more successful? And who will go down as the better actor? I wasn't around in the 80s, but from my viewpoint, it's Stallone in both respects. That's a good question. I mean, Stallone and Schwarzenegger, they just those two names go together like peanut butter and jelly, right? Like, those are the two most iconic action film stars of all time. And they were going at the same time. I would tend to agree with you that I think Stallone he was a much better actor. Stallone was a much better, Stallone is an Academy Award nominated actor. All right. So he's clearly a much better actor. I think him and Schwarzenegger were the same level of star power, but I would maybe think that maybe Stallone had a little bit more of a successful career, because on top of all the great franchises, the Rockies, the Rambos, and on top of the Academy Awards nominations and prestige that he got, and the box, all that kind of stuff, I just think the nod goes to him. So I'm going to say, by a little bit, I'm going to say Stallone. All right. Next up, we've got Razor ATX, who writes, if the Jonathan Major stuff ends up sideways, could you see Marvel using it as an excuse to change direction from the Kang path and shift to Doom to generate new excitement? Otherwise, Boyega for Kang recast, in my opinion. It has nothing to do with anything. Number one, Marvel does not need an excuse or a pretext to change directions if they want to change directions. They just change directions. That's it. Marvel doesn't need, oh no, well, we can't change directions even though we own everything, and we can't because everything's set. Oh, but Jonathan Major's in trouble. Well, this gives us the excuse we need to change. No. Marvel doesn't need that. If Kevin Feige for 1 second thought they wanted to pivot away from Kang, they'll just pivot away from Kang, whether or not Jonathan Majors is in trouble or not. Makes absolutely zero difference to him. Absolutely zero difference to Kevin Feige, right? But no, that would be ridiculous. You don't just suddenly shift to Doom. You've set everything up for Kang, right? You've set it all up for Kang. Now, they haven't done a great job setting it up for Kang, but that's fine. That can all be corrected in the next movie, right? Like, that everything can be made right with just one movie. The next time they use Kang, if they use him great, everything's fine again. But you don't just suddenly pivot and shift to Doom. By the way, this is the thing. But if they did Doom, it would be great. No, it wouldn't. Doom, Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom is useless unless the writers writing Doom write him in an excellent way. Dr. Doom has been in 3 movies. Have any of those movies been good? No. Just because you put Dr. Doom in it, that doesn't make it better. Unless you write the characters well. And if you write the characters really well, it doesn't matter who the villain is. So they've got a great villain in Kang. They've had some struggles making their movies recently. But the next movies can pull a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and instantly, like, listen, winning cures everything. Now, as far as Boyega, I don't know if I could see Boyega as a Kang. I could see more of a John David Washington. I think, but then again, that's X actor and X role. If for whatever reason, and right now we have no reason to believe that Jonathan Majors will not continue on as Kang. I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying right now we don't have anything to say definitively he won't be. But if, theoretically speaking, Jonathan Majors could not continue as Kang, I mean, John Boyega is a great actor, and so I would have no problem with that. But again, I would like to see either a Chiwetel Ejiofor or a John David Washington. Now, Chiwetel Ejiofor is already in the MCU, so that might make it kind of problematic. But I don't think John David Washington is. So, I don't know. Maybe that would be an option. Okay. Let's see. Next up, we've got Jay Bling, who writes, I know Hobbs and Shaw made great money for the same amount as, about the same amount as F9, but the Fast Saga entry that had Dwayne Johnson made over $1 billion. So you can say Hobbs and Shaw's number were enough, but wouldn't the studio prioritize the bigger potential numbers? I'm not quite sure what it is you're asking. Like, what's the question? Hobbs and Shaw. Listen, Hobbs and Shaw was a spinoff. Hobbs and Shaw was a spinoff, and it nearly made $800 million without any of the core Fast and the Furious characters. Right? Without any of the core Fast and the Furious characters, Hobbs and Shaw made almost $800 million. Now, yeah, the other one with Dwayne Johnson in it made $1 billion, but that was Dwayne Johnson and all the core Fast and Furious characters, all of them, the ones that everybody had been following for all that time. So I mean, there's no need to prioritize one over the other. That's the thing. A movie can put out, like, we were listening to studios this year saying we're putting out 23 movies this year. Guess what? That means they can prioritizing doesn't really make a difference. If you have a project that you think can be satisfying for the audience, bring people and put butts in the seats and get people excited, you make it, right? You make that movie. I just don't think Dwayne Johnson has any interest to come back to the world of the Fast and Furious at all. I don't think he has any interest to come back. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think he has any interest in coming back to it right now. But who knows? We'll find out. All right. I like Hobbs and Shaw, by the way. I thought it was really good. Certainly better than Fast 9. All right. An anonymous viewer writes, hey, John, I also think Universal could show some Five Nights at Freddy's at Cinemacon. Also, I have seen some sources say that there is a Transformers screening at Cinemacon, so double check that. Okay, so no on both counts. This was obviously sent in as we were going to Cinemacon. Universal did not show any or even talk about Five Nights at Freddy's in their Universal presentation. And there's a very, very good reason for that. Because you got to remember, Cinemacon is not like Comic-Con. Cinemacon is not for fans, right? Cinemacon is not a fan event. It is an industry event. It is made for and made by movie theater owners. Cinemacon is the event put on by NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners, right? So 95% of those 5,000 people were movie theater owners and movie theater general managers and movie theater executives, right? This is about the movie theaters. And Five Nights at Freddy's is a movie that is going to streaming and theaters on the same day. And movie theater owners do not like that for obvious reasons. And so Universal was not going to bring up Five Nights at Freddy's because the theater owners don't give two shits about Five Nights at Freddy's because they're putting it on streaming at the same day, which, by the way, Universal is doing some great stuff right now. I'm really, really impressed with Universal right now, but that is a fuck dumb decision. Is that a phrase? Did I just make up a phrase? Fuck dumb? It is a fuck dumb decision for them to put Five Nights at Freddy's on streaming and in theaters at the same time, unless it's basically them not having any faith in the movie. And that's what it's telling me. It's telling me, it is implying and suggesting to me that Universal doesn't actually like this movie, that they don't actually have a lot of faith. Because the first Halloween movie, the first new Halloween movie, that was a theatrical release, and it was great. And then they put the next two Halloween movies on streaming and theaters at the same time. Both those movies sucked. I loved the first one. 2 and 3 sucked. And it's not a coincidence, I don't think, that that's the one they also put on streaming at the same time. And I worry I worry. I'm not saying it's definitive. I'm not saying I know Five Nights at Freddy's is going to be bad. Not at all. I'm excited about this movie, but it does kind of suggest to me that maybe they don't have a lot of faith in it, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that's why they did not show anything from Five Nights at Freddy's at Cinemacon. The other thing about, I have sources that say there's going to be a Transformers screening. No, there was no Transformers screening. There was a Transformers party, and I put up some pictures of that in the community tab. They had some big, giant to scale, Optimus, they had Optimus Prime there. They had Mirage there. They had Primal there. Some big statues, like I said, to scale statues. But no, there was no screening of the Transformers at Cinemacon, which is too bad. I would have liked to have seen that. All right. Next up, Tax says, I feel like you and the crew aren't being fair to physical media. I collect 4K discs because they have way better audio than streaming, and my internet sometimes can't handle 4K. Discs don't have that issue. It feels nice to have a collection too. Hey, listen, no, look, a lot of people misunderstand when I talk about physical media. A lot of people misunderstand me saying that as if I'm saying physical media sucks. I don't believe physical media sucks. Not at all. I believe there are some very valid reasons why Rob and yourself and others would want to collect physical media. What I am talking about 9 times out of 10 is the fact that physical media is dead. And it just is. I mean, again, you're not going to find a bigger proponent for physical media than Robert Meyer Burnett. But Robert Meyer Burnett will always tell you straight up, physical media is dead. Or at least like dying by the minute. Like, and Rob will be the first one to tell you that because it is. The manufacturers of Blu-ray players are no longer manufacturing Blu-ray players. All the big ones have stopped making them. Sales of physical media are dropped like a stone in water every year over year. It's exponentially declining more and more and more and more and more every year. It is a dead medium. That doesn't mean they don't have great upside if you like that stuff. Absolutely it does. I'm not arguing otherwise. But, see, I gave up physical media many years ago. I gave up on physical media many years ago for several reasons. Physical media discs get damaged and go missing way more than people admit. Like, I remember I was even talking to Rob. I remember this happened a few months ago with Rob. Like, Rob saying, I never misplaced physical media discs. Really? I don't believe you. I don't believe that's true. And then the very next week I came in and him and Ray are talking, and I walked in the middle of a conversation him and Ray are having where Rob was talking to Ray and lamenting that he can't find these discs he's looking for. Guess what? My digital collection, I always know where they are. I always know where they never get lost. I never lend them to somebody and forget that I lent them. My digital copy never gets scratched and ruined. My digital copies don't take up a load of storage space, or I have to pack them up and move them when I want to go anywhere. Or if I feel like watching something, I don't have to go hunting through my collection, pull it out, sit down, put in a disc, whatever. My digital collection is there for me when I'm on an airplane. My digital collection is there for me when I'm traveling. My digital collection is there for me when I'm in a hotel or when I'm up at the Campea Ranch at my parents' place or when I'm on a train or in a car. I don't need to have physical discs there. It's all right there. My entire movie collection I can watch right now on this thing. Right now, it's available to me at this moment. It's just, to me, for years and years and years and years and years and years now, the advantages of having all my movies on digital format have just, for me personally, I'm only talking for me and what my priorities are, but far outweigh any advantages there are to having physical media. But one of the big things that you mentioned there is the issue of a collection. See, that to me is something that it doesn't matter how convenient streaming gets. It doesn't matter how many discs you lose. It doesn't matter about how good the quality of streaming gets versus how good the quality of physical media is. All that is irrelevant. If it's something you enjoy collecting, that is something that will never go away. Like for you, that is something that will never die, and it never should die. But that's a separate conversation to me. Like just the pure advantages and benefits of collecting physical media versus the advantages and benefits of having your movies in digital format is a totally separate thing from, but there's something I enjoy collecting. That is totally good. That's totally fair. And that will never change. That will never change. All right. Next up. Let's see. Suthius writes, as much as I am a fan of Power Rangers universe, having religiously watched it, I can't bring myself to watch the new special. Steve Cardenas, Rocky the Red Ranger, God bless that man. I'm sure he's nice, but a thespian he is not, now or back then. Listen, I can't comment on that because I am not a Power Rangers fan. I don't pretend to be. I've never been a big Power Rangers guy. I was shocked that I liked the last Power Rangers movie. The Power, not this new special. I mean, the one that came out with Elizabeth Banks as the villain. I was shocked that I liked that movie because I don't like Power Rangers, but I enjoyed that movie. I thought it was okay. But yeah, I'm not a Power Rangers guy, so I can't comment on that stuff. I have unfortunately very, very little interest in it. All right, thanks a lot for that, Suthius. Anonymous writes, thoughts on the recast of David on the live action Lilo and Stitch. The previous actor got replaced after finding his Spotify playlist title had a slur. I think they made the right call replacing him. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think any of the original cast, like correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't really looked at it. Just full disclosure, I'm not up to date on what's going on in the casting of the Lilo and Stitch live action thing, okay? I'm not up to date on it. But I don't recall any of the original cast coming back, are they? And even if there are one or two, so I don't know that it's a big deal. I don't know that it's a big deal that somebody from the original animated film that came out like 100 years ago isn't going to be in the live action thing unless everybody from the original is coming back in the live action thing, which I don't think they are. So I don't know that that's that big of a deal, to be honest with you. All right. Next up, we've got Jay Bling writes, I saw an interview with Louis Leterrier, who was my director, by the way, in my and Robert, I almost said Robert Downey Jr., my and Ed Norton's, he's my co-star, you know. Me and Ed Norton had a Hulk movie together a few years ago. Maybe you've heard of it. And Louis Leterrier was my director. Anyway, I saw in an interview with Louis Leterrier where he said that he and Jason Statham saw the first Fast and Furious while they were filming the first Transporter. Oh, that's neat. And loved the movie. So he sees directing the last two Fast Saga movies as his rendezvous with destiny. Yeah, listen, I got to tell you what. I, to this day, do not like Fast and Furious 1, 2, and 3. 1 is just a cheap, garbage, knockoff, ripoff, scene-for-scene ripoff of Point Blank. Or with Point Break, I mean. Point Blank's another, that's a John Cusack movie. Point Break with Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves. Just a pure ripoff. Like they literally took the script of Point Break and changed it from surfing to cars, and every single plot point in the movie they just copied. And so I've always kind of hated that first movie for that. Second one, I didn't think it was very good. Tokyo Drift, I didn't think it was very good. So I wasn't a fan of the franchise. And then 4 came along and I'm like, that wasn't bad. You know what? I'm not a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise, but this one, this number 4, this isn't bad. And then 5 came out. And 5 was fantastic. And that 5 is the movie for me. They started to get their footing in number 4, but 5 is the movie for me that really made the franchise. That's where the franchise found itself, in my opinion. And I thought 6 was fantastic. 7 was fantastic. I know some people have a problem with 8, but I liked 8. But then came 9, and 9 was total dog shit. I hated 9. And I say this as a big Vin Diesel fan. But 9 was total garbage. So I didn't know how I felt about number 10. And they had the director drama because the director walked off set and then Louis Leterrier came in. But I'll tell you what, man, everything I've seen for Fast 10 looks bonkers fun. All right? I hated 9. And that killed some of my enthusiasm for 10 and all that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you, dudes, everything I've seen from this Louis Leterrier directed number 10 is getting me excited. To me, it looks really good. So I'm going into this one with some enthusiasm. Vin Diesel came out on stage at Cinemacon this week and talked about this incredibly long journey, this decades-long journey they've been on with the Fast and the Furious franchise. And yeah, I got to tell you, I'm pretty stoked about it. I'm pretty stoked. All right. Next up, we got also from Jay Bling, who writes, I think at the very least, Louis Leterrier seems to be demonstrating more creative passion for the Fast franchise than Justin Lin did with F9 and subsequently Fast 10 before his departure. Whatever creative passion Lin had with Fast 5 was gone with Fast 9. Here's the problem, though. I think this is one of those franchises. This is one of these very, very rare franchises where the actor is actually the one in charge of the franchise. See, this happens 1% of the time. 99% of the time, this is not the way it works. But with Fast and the Furious, Vin Diesel really calls all the shots. And I think Justin Lin got very frustrated with Fast 9 and then was frustrated with the way Vin wanted to do Fast 10. And that's why Justin left. Again, I wasn't there in the room. I can't say that definitively. That I'm just saying, formulating that opinion based on the stuff that we've seen. And yeah, so I don't personally put any of the blame on Justin Lin for that. I think that has kind of been Vin Diesel, but I also think that Vin Diesel got a wake-up call with Fast 9. And it looks to me that Vin Diesel realized we need to take a step back after Fast 9 and let's get back to some of that DNA of Fast 5, Fast 6, Fast 7, because to me, that's what this movie now feels like. And whether that's true or not, we'll find out. We'll find out. All right, Suthius writes, in Shang-Chi, as they're examining the rings, Wong tells Shang, the first time you used them, we felt them in Kamar-Taj. Okay, so what about the past 1,000 years when Wen Wu was using them? Why only with them being used by Shang did the sorcerers feel them? I have a theory about that. My theory about that is connected to when Shang starts to use the rings, they change color. It's almost as if, and I have nothing to back this up with, to be clear, but it's almost as if the rings, like, they could be used by Wen Wu. And by the way, Wen Wu is one of the greatest MCU villains ever. But they could be used by Wen Wu. But to me, in Shang-Chi, when Shang gets a hold of them and Shang starts to use them and they change color, it's almost to me like the rings have found their true wielder, right? It's almost like it was... I'm seeing Warlocks in the live chat saying it was Shang-Chi's destiny to control the rings. That's what it does feel like there, right? It feels like when those rings change color and all that kind of stuff, it's like the rings found the one who is supposed to wield them. So, yeah, I think that will have something to do with why the sorcerers then sense the rings. Because their true potential and their true power is only going to be unlocked when in the possession of the true wielder of the rings. Again, that could just be a lot of fan fiction in my head, maybe, but that's kind of the theory I have. Good question, Suthius. Okay, next up. Gabe writes, John, will I be able to take my 15-year-old brother to this upcoming movie club, and would you have a recommendation for parking? Well, hold a second. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Let me bring this up. An opportunity to plug this. I don't know if it's going to look right on screen or not. It's not looking right on screen, but whatever. Movie Club. Okay, will it come up on that? Nope. Movie Club is coming up on not tomorrow, but next Sunday. You guys will remember that we did a special event a few months ago for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, me, Christian, Greg Alba of Real Rejects. We did this live event at the Flappers Comedy Club right in downtown Burbank. It was great. It sold out. Fabulous. Had a great time with everybody who was there. So we're doing it again for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, where me, Christian, Greg, we're going to be talking about YouTubing and doing what we do, but we're also going to talk in depth about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and we're going to do it with a live audience. But by the way, if you do not live anywhere near the LA area, but first of all, if you live anywhere near the LA area and you want to come down, come on down. Come meet me, Greg, Christian. We're going to take photos and all that kind of stuff too. We had a great time last time. But this time, if you don't live in the LA area, we are also going to be streaming it as a pay-per-view. So it will be available as a special live streaming event. Look in the video description of any of the recent episodes of the John Campea Show, and you'll find links to getting tickets for live and in person, or tickets for the streaming event if you so choose. Now, as far as whether or not your 15-year-old brother could come, that's a good question. I don't have an answer for that. The best thing to do is call the Flappers Comedy Club. Just Google Flappers, Flappers, Flappers Comedy Club Burbank. Find the phone number, give them a call, and ask them, are minors allowed in? I honestly don't know the answer to that. I do not know if minor... Now, as far as parking goes, the great thing about the downtown Burbank is within 5 blocks of each other are like 4 massive parking structures, right? There is plenty of parking in downtown Burbank, tons of parking in downtown, all within a couple of blocks. So you won't have a problem with that at all. All right. Thank you for bringing that up and giving me an avenue and an excuse to plug our event that's coming up. Thank you for that, Gabe. All right. Next up, we got Grinning Wombat, who writes, "Hey, John, I just wanted to recommend a new short documentary called Beyond Strong, The Rookie Year. It follows the first ever Canadian World's Strongest Man title holder. This was his first year competing. The documentary is very inspiring and motivational." I got to tell you what, I don't follow World's Strongest Man competitions, but I'm like every other guy that if I'm flipping through the channels and I see a World's Strongest Man competition, I stop and watch it for a bit. Because who doesn't get a kick out of watching? That man is pulling an Optimus Prime sized truck with his teeth. What the hell? That man is picking up a telephone pole and throwing it across the yard. I don't know why I get really, really excited about it. So I've not heard about this Grinning Wombat, but thank you for putting that on my radar. All right. Next up, we got Cody Hunt Films, who writes, "Even with all the controversy, I'm still excited with The Flash. Based on the trailers, Ezra Miller looks like he gives an incredible performance. He seems very vulnerable, and I love the idea of Barry saving the only universe where he can be with his mother." Yeah, listen. If you guys have watched me for any period of time, you know my position on this. This movie is not Ezra Miller's movie. Ezra Miller is the actor who is hired to come in and put on the costume and read the lines that somebody else wrote. Yes. But this is not Ezra Miller's movie. This is Andy Muschietti's movie. And Andy did an incredible job making this movie. And listen, I have always enjoyed Ezra Miller's portrayal of Barry Allen. I know not everybody has, but I do. I like the performance Ezra Miller is given as the Flash. And Ezra Miller does a very good job in this movie. Michael Keaton does a very good job in this movie. Everybody. The new Supergirl's fantastic, by the way. Everyone does a really, really good job. I enjoyed the movie super, super much. However, that doesn't change my opinion that Ezra Miller is done as the Flash. This is a great movie. Ezra Miller does a very good job, just like I believe Ezra Miller always has done a very good job playing Flash. But Ezra Miller will not be Flash anymore. I will be... There's a reason why when asked about the Ezra Miller situation, Peter Safran said the perfect response. They said, right now, we're not worried about whether or not Ezra continues to play the Flash. Right now, we're just very happy that Ezra has themselves in getting the help that they need, getting counseling and therapy and blah, blah. And that's what's important right now. That was code for, oh, hell no, Ezra's never going to be Flash again. But we're not going to say that right now because then that will be the news story instead of, look how good this Flash movie is. So they immediately brushed it away, but I don't believe for a second. And listen, I don't know this. James Gunn never called me and told me Ezra will never be Flash again, but I don't think you need to be rocket science to recognize that Ezra will never be the Flash again. And that doesn't take away that Andy Muschietti made a great movie with this Flash movie. But the actor they hired to put on the costume and read the lines, they're going to get another actor to put on the costume and read the lines moving forward. At least that is my thing. And here's the thing too. I still can't believe how many people don't understand this. People keep asking, how on earth did Warner Brothers, make the Flash after Ezra did all these big, huge laundry list of really stupid and terrible things? It's like, folks, you got to understand, Ezra did almost all of those things after they shot the movie. Did almost all those things well after they shot the movie. People forget how long ago they started shooting this movie. And then all the crazy, stupid, like the vast, vast majority of all the crazy, stupid Ezra Miller nonsense happened after they shot the movie. So it's not like Ezra Miller did all these things, broke into people's bedrooms and threw a chair at people and accused of grooming a young girl and blah, blah. And like all that stuff happened and Warner Brothers just went, let's just keep Ezra's Flash and make the movie anyway. No, all that stuff, at least the vast majority of it, happened after they shot the movie. So I still, it's amazing to me how many people still don't understand that. It's amazing to me how much people still don't understand that. Anyway, so there's that. Anyway, next up. Storm and Norman writes, Mario is going into its 4th uncontested weekend in premium theaters. No movies all summer will have more than 7 days with premium screens. Guardians will have 14 days until Fast X. Then it's 7 days apiece until Indiana Jones. Will this affect their gross? I'm not really totally convinced that it will. At least, I dropped something. Give me one moment here. I'm not really totally convinced that it will. I mean, will it have an impact? Yes. Will it have a definitive, noticeable impact? I don't think so. I think there will be a nominal impact. There will be some influence there, but I really think it will. Okay. By the way, Mario crossing $1 billion this weekend. You know what's funny? Sorry, let me say this. Listen, I will be the first one on my show to call out when something that I thought would happen didn't happen. Actually, some people accuse me of going on too much about it. How many times you ever say, I thought that movie was going to suck. I told everybody I thought it was going to suck. And I love that movie. I was so wrong about that or whatever. Right. But it drives me crazy when I see so many people rewriting history. Because when I started talking about Mario Brothers as potentially being the biggest movie of the year, right? My live chat stream, my comment section filled with, John, you're insane. You're insane. Mario Brothers isn't going to make that much money. I mean, it might be kind of big, but it ain't going to make that much money. Blah, 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 blah. Right? I got hammered with that. Hammered. All of a sudden, Mario Brothers starts making huge amounts of cash. And I don't believe it'll be the #1 box office movie of the year anymore, but it's going to be one of the biggest box office movies of the year. And all of a sudden, I see people in my live chat and people in my comment section. Oh, well, John, everybody always knew Mario Brothers was going to be a huge, massive hit. I'm sorry. That is not what people said to me when I was getting absolutely hammered as being some kind of idiot for thinking Mario could make that much money. Anyway, it is. But Mario will cross the $1 billion mark this weekend. And I couldn't be happier for it. It's a fun, exciting, just kind of nostalgia ride that is just very entertaining. Are there better animated movies out there? Yes, there are. Is this one going to be nominated for any Academy Awards? Maybe Best Animated Feature. But there's never a ton of animated movies in any given year. But it's fun. It's nostalgia. It hit all the right notes for what it was. And it's going to be making a hell of a lot of money. Crossing the $1 billion mark this year. Crossing the $1 billion mark this year. All right, next up. We got Devin J. All right. Hey, John, I'm a huge fan of the show. Thank you so much, Devin. I'm always looking forward to watching all of you. Now that you have gotten to watch The Flash, how well do you think it can do at the box office? Does it have a chance to make $1 billion? No. but it has nothing to do with the quality of the movie. The Flash is a billion-dollar film in and of itself, all other things being equal. If The Flash was just another comic book movie coming out, it is a spectacle enough and it is good enough to be a billion-dollar film. But The Flash is not being released in a vacuum. The Flash is not being released in a vacuum. It has a load of baggage attached, and it's not just Ezra, right? It's not just Ezra. Shazam 2 flopping had nothing to do with Ezra. Black Adam flopping had nothing to do with Ezra. So it's not just Ezra, although the Ezra thing is a significant thing. There's a lot of baggage with that, right? But it's that combined with the fact that DC films in particular are really struggling right now. Black Adam, which I don't think was a bad movie, to be honest with you. It wasn't great. It certainly had a lot of issues. I still think Black Adam at the end of the day was an enjoyable, entertaining film. But despite the fact that you had the biggest movie star in the world, the biggest box office draw movie star in the world in it, it lost money. Couldn't even make $400 million. And then Shazam 2 came out, which again, not as good as Shazam number 1, but I still contend is a thoroughly good, solid little entertaining movie to watch. That movie totally flopped. Like, it made less money in total than a lot of other movies will make on their opening weekends. DC right now, and this is why they have to reboot everything, DC is on this big decline. Which is why they brought in James Gunn and Peter Safran to, starting in 2025, to rebuild the DCEU. But it's also got that, right? It's got that working against it too. So no. While The Flash, again, in a vacuum, in and of itself, is totally a potentially billion-dollar film. But the movie is not being released in a vacuum. It's got a whole ton of baggage, a whole lot of obstacles to overcome, and it's just not. Now, it can be successful. It can be a successful film still. You know, it could make $500 million. It could make $600 million. But I right now, I hope I'm wrong. Because this is a movie that deserves to make a lot of money. Warner Brothers and DC and Andy Muschietti made a great comic book movie. It deserves to be a billion-dollar film, but I don't think it will be. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. We'll find out, though. All right, I got time for one more, guys, and then we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll go and take your live questions that you guys have been shooting in to the Super Chats there. Tip TJ Perry writes, John, you listen to Comics Explained on YouTube, right? I do. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's really good. I like the Comics Explained YouTube channel. I love his energy and how excited he gets telling stories. Did you ever toy with the idea of having special guests like Rob Jefferson on? If you did, would it have to be weekly to be worth it? No, I'm not really the John Campea Show is not a special guests kind of show. Not to mention, like, is his name Rob? Is that the name of the guy who does Comics Explained? Anyway, I don't watch the channel religiously, but at least 2 or 3 times a month, I will find myself watching one of the videos from Comics Explained. If you've not checked it out, it's a really, really good YouTube channel. But, you know, Rob is a comic book guy. Mine is a movie and TV thing. Now, there is crossover, clearly, but I just don't have guests on, really. And when I do, it's somebody I already know, and it's somebody that I've worked with, and it's somebody you know, my audience knows. But generally speaking, my show's not a guest show. So if I were, the Comics Explained guy would be somebody I'd love to have. But since I don't, probably not. All right. Let's see here. One last one here, and then we'll take a quick break. Anonymous writes, anybody heard of The Wrath of Becky? The Red Band trailer just came out on IGN and it looks promising. Young woman, phenomenal film, plus John Wick. but with neo-Nazis as the villains. I watched half the trailer. It came straight to tip here. I have not heard of this. Now, is this I hate using the term, but is this a real movie, or is this like a made straight for home video, small little indie project? I've not heard of the Wrath of Becky, the Wrath of Becky, I should say, but I am very tempted to go and check this out. I think I will go check this out. I'm going to go, because you wrote that in, I'm going to go and look for that trailer. Okay, I said that was the last one, but let's take one more. Let's just take one more here. TJ Perry writes, John, I've noticed you never do the traditional YouTuber preamble of make sure to like and subscribe, blah, blah. I assume your mentality is something like make good content and people will do those things for you. What is your actual philosophy? Yeah, I mean, that comes up from time to time because I mean, listen, you can't say I never do it, right? Like maybe once a month, you'll hear me say something like, hey guys, make sure what's the YouTuber jargon? Smash that like button and subscribe to blah. Yeah, I don't look, here's the reality. Let me get a little honest with you here. Here's the reality. I learned sometime, it was back when I was doing AMC. Back when I was doing AMC, I learned that the number of subscribers you have is actually completely irrelevant. Now, don't get me wrong. I love seeing my subscriber count go up, right? Every YouTuber does. That tickles the YouTuber's ego, armpit. Ticka, ticka, ticka. Right? It feels good. Gives you that, what's the word? It's not an endorphin rush. It's what's that chemical your body releases when you feel happiness or joy? I can't remember. It's not endorphin. It's something else. I can't remember what it is. If you guys in the live chat know what it is, tell me what the word. Dopamine. Thank you. A Villain Chillin'. Dopamine. Also, Michael T put it in. Umang Uthane put it in. Thank you guys. Yeah, dopamine. It's like when you're a YouTuber and you see your subscriber count go up, tickle, tickle, tickle. It's that dopamine rush. It feels great. It really does. And like we celebrate it. Like when we hit 100,000 subscribers, we celebrate it. When we hit 300,000 subscribers, we celebrate it. Because it feels good. But what I learned when I was at AMC is that subscriber numbers do not equate to success. Because what I realized when I was at AMC was there were some other channels that were trying to be us. And they would have like triple our subscriber numbers. In one case, quadruple our subscriber numbers, right? But we had double the views. And in YouTube, particularly in the YouTube economy, views is king, right? Subscribers is not. Subscribers is simply a conduit to hopefully get you some views. But at the end of the day, views is king, not subscriber numbers. And not only did I realize that there were channels that had like quadruple our subscriber numbers, but we had double the amount of views, I also realized that there were some other channels that we had more subscribers than them, but they had more views than us, even though we had more subscribers. So I realized, and listen, the same is still true of the John Campea Show. Like my YouTube channel has like 1/3 the amount of certain YouTuber channels subscriber count, but we have double or triple the amount of views, and vice versa. There's some smaller channels in mine, well, smaller in subscriber counts. There are a couple of channels that I'll check out, I'll look in on every once in a while that have fewer subscribers than I do, but have just as many, if not some more views than I do. Views is king. And yeah, there's this common understanding that more subscribers and more thumbs up, it feeds the algorithm, it'll get more of the, here's what I decided a long time ago, and maybe I'm dumb for doing this. But you nailed it on the head, TJ, when you understood that my philosophy in this is not what's the quick gimmick? How do I get more people to click the thumbs up? How do I get subscribers? How do I get that dopamine hit? I decided a long time ago that the best strategy for long-term consistent success is make good content. That's it. Make good content. And if you make good content and you make it consistently, the audiences will find you. And hopefully, see, here's the problem. A lot of people try to come up with these gimmicks. How can I get more viewers? How can I get more viewers? How can I get more viewers? Well, here's the problem. You didn't focus enough on making good content first, so you get or trick a lot of people to come and check out your videos. But what good is it if they come and check out your videos and go, meh, they'll never come back? And you can't make videos that appeal to everybody. So my kind of goal has always been make good, engaging, compelling content that is hopefully informative and hopefully entertaining. Hopefully, don't always succeed, but hopefully. And most importantly, I try to make content that I myself would watch. Because if I would watch it, chances are there are some other people that would like to watch it too. So it is for that reason that you don't see me opening up every video with, guys, now that I got you here, smash that like button and make sure you subscribe, click the little bell icon, right? Like, again, I'll do it like once a month just to remind people because it doesn't hurt. It's not bad. So I'll do it like once a month, once every 2 months, something like that. I'll say, hey guys, like and subscribe, blah, blah. But every single YouTube channel does it. So everybody knows, anybody who's on YouTube knows that if I like your videos, I'm going to click the like button and I'm going to hit subscribe. And yeah, they just will. And again, that is not me speaking down to other YouTube channels that do that. Not at all. There is nothing but positive things that can come if you get more people to click the like button and more people to subscribe to your channel. I'm not at all speaking negatively on any other channel that does that. Not at all. I just found for me, doing that doesn't fit into my personal overall philosophy of YouTubing. And yeah, no, that's just me. You know what? I said that was going to be the last one, but I just realized there's only one left. So let's do that one left, shall we? Suthius writes in, says, y'all seen the recent James Corden video? It's 18 minutes, and it's James convincing Tom Cruise to join in on a night of the Lion King Broadway. The crowd goes wild. They love it. And it ends with a rendition of Can You Feel the Love Tonight between the two? I did not see that. But now that you've mentioned it, I love the one where Tom Cruise took James Corden up in a plane. That was fun. I have not seen that video though, but thanks for putting on my radar, Soothis. I will go and check that out. Okay, guys. With that all down now, we're going to move over and start taking your live questions that you guys who've been watching live have been firing in using the super chats. By the way, it's still open. The super chats are still open. I will leave them open for a couple more minutes. Now, before we get to those questions though, we're going to take just a quick second here and thank the sponsor of today's episode of Open Mic, my mobile service provider, Ryan Reynolds' own, and yes, he's as of right now, he's still the owner of it, my own Mint Mobile. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of Open Mic. Okay, guys, with that all down, let's take things home here by going over and taking your live questions that you guys have been sending into the super chat area. Let's get in there now and start getting to it. And we will start off with, see if I can get people's names on there. Mr. Hank Dunn writes, is there anything Ezra could say or do that would make you okay with them staying as Flash? No. Maybe this is all like that Dennis Quaid funny or die bit. Listen, I'm not saying how other people should feel. I'm only speaking for myself, okay, and how I feel. If you feel differently, awesome. If you feel the same as me, awesome. I am not saying this is how other people should feel. This is just how I feel. No, at this point, there is nothing Ezra Miller could say or do that would make me feel okay with Ezra continuing on as being Flash. That doesn't mean I can't recognize and acknowledge that they did a great job in the Flash movie. Ezra did a great job in the Flash movie. Totally did. Hats off. That being said, there was just too much. There was just too much. And I'm going to lose not all respect, but I'm going to lose a good chunk of respect for David Zaslav, for James Gunn, for Peter Safran, if they decided, because listen, they inherited the Ezra problem, right? They inherited it. That wasn't their fault. That all happened under AT&T's watch. This had nothing to do with David Zaslav, nothing to do with James Gunn, nothing to do with Peter Safran. They inherited this problem. So I don't blame them for anything. But if they make the decision to keep on Ezra, I'm going to lose a chunk of respect for them. Again, it's not like I'm going to say, I'll never watch another DC movie. Not at all. But I'll never watch another Flash movie. I won't watch another Flash movie with Ezra if Ezra stays in it. Again, that's not me making an ultimatum. That's not me telling you that's how you should feel about it. If you feel, hey, no, it's totally good if Ezra continues on as Flash, I respect that. If that's how you feel, I respect that. But for me personally, at this point, no. And I'm not saying Ezra should never work again. No. I hope after a while, if Ezra Miller, takes accountability for all the actions they took, and if Ezra Miller gets the help that they need, and a couple of years pass, and they've atoned for stuff, and they've taken accountability, and they've been held accountable, and all that kind of stuff, and all that happens, I am totally good with Ezra Miller continuing on with their career. Ezra's a good actor, but it just can't be as Flash. Just can't be as Flash. Not to me. Not to me. Anyway, that's just my feeling on it. All right. Sasathan writes, better franchise, Toy Story or John Wick? Toy Story by a million miles. I love the John Wick franchise. Toy Story is like a different level though. All right. Aaron McDonough writes, I saw Evil Dead Rise, and let me tell you, I have a good tolerance for horror, but that movie traumatized me. There's a few scenes in there where I contemplated leaving. Listen, I ended up liking Evil Dead Rise. I saw it late. I was late getting to it, but I enjoyed the film. I thought it was pretty good. It was not as good to me as, say, maybe my expectations were. And granted, that is partially my own fault because I went into Evil Dead Rise with extremely high expectations. Like extremely high expectations, like unrealistically high. And it's solid. It's a good, entertaining little film. It's not one that I feel the need to rush out and see again. It is definitely a shocker. Like Chris Carr would not do well watching this movie, but I'm glad you had a good time, man. All right. Thanks for that, Aaron. Future Millionaire writes, now that you've seen the Flash movie, how does it rank in your favorite DC movies? That's a good question. I generally try to hold off on trying to place a movie in a certain ranking when I've only just seen it, right? Because I saw The Flash in the midst of seeing 1,000 different things at Cinemacon. Not full movies, but 1,000 different presentations. And this movie's been presented and this movie's presented. And I've only seen it the once. So I'm not prepared to give it a ranking. That being said, it's up there. Like, if we're talking DCEU and not overall DC, like we're not talking about Christopher Nolan's films, okay? I would put Flash above things like Aquaman, which I really liked. I liked Aquaman quite a bit. I would put it above Aquaman. I would put it above Batman versus Superman. I would put it above Justice League. I'd certainly put it above Wonder Woman 2 and the first Suicide Squad. It's not as, I mean, you know me and Man of Steel, right? Man of Steel is still the king of the DCU movies. I mean, that to me is Zack Snyder's masterpiece. That's that. I would say, so if Man of Steel is the top rung of the ladder, I would personally say, again, don't hold me to this. Let me have some more time to marinate on it, see it one or two more times, and maybe I'll change what I say. So don't hold me to this. I'm just saying as a first quick thought, the top of the rung is still Man of Steel. And then after that, you got films like the first Wonder Woman movie that Patty Jenkins directed, which I thought was really good. I mean, excellent. That Wonder Woman movie is excellent. So I would put it up there with that Wonder Woman movie, with James Gunn's Suicide Squad. I put it in that mix. But again, let me see how I really feel about it once I've had more time and once I have a chance to see it maybe one or two more times. All right, thanks for that, Future Millionaire. Next up, we got Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones writes, recently watched the Suicide Squad and wondered if you thought The Flash was better. Thanks for bringing on the filthy. Now, if we're talking about the first Suicide Squad movie, it's a million times better. If we're talking about James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie, like I just said, it's in that same conversation, right? That, the first Wonder Woman movie and Flash. That's in the next rung down of Man of Steel. So I'm not ready to say whether I thought it was as good or better than James Gunn's Suicide Squad. I will just say that those two movies are in the same conversation together. That's how I see it right now, at any rate. Again, I reserve the right to change my thought on that once I've had a little bit more time. All right. Spencer Smothers writes, what are your thoughts on Canada's Bill C-11? I am not keeping up right now on Canadian politics, so I don't know what Canada's Bill C-11 is right now, unfortunately. All right. Nerd Calvin writes, how is the Flash CG? Trailer CG is rough. CG is not the best. I'm going to tell you this right now. The CG in Flash is not the best CG, but it doesn't matter. Great CG does not help a bad movie. And if your movie's really good, questionable CG won't ruin your movie. And I will tell you right now, right up, the Flash is not horrible CGI, but the Flash is not top shelf CGI. All right. I'm just saying, not top shelf CGI, but it almost doesn't really matter. The movie is really great. And so that's my kind of take on that. All right. Thanks for that, Nerd Calvin. Captain Dr. Hawkeye 477 writes, what are your thoughts on James Earl Jones signing over the AI rights to his Vader voice over to Lucasfilm? Yeah, we talked about that a couple of months ago when that happened. Listen, this is still the wild, wild west when it comes to that sort of stuff, like AI, deepfake, all that kind of stuff. And I don't even think we've discovered how many horrible things can happen as a result. That being said, in principle, I got no problem with it. The Darth Vader voice is iconic. And if they can continue to replicate Darth Vader's voice as done by James Earl Jones, there's upside there. But again, I'm a little apprehensive about it because I don't even think we've begun to discover all the potential downsides of it. But that's how I feel about it right now. All right. Aaron Jones sends in a $100 super chat. Aaron, dude, I don't know what you asked, but thank you so much for supporting our channel on that level, man. That is incredibly generous of you, dude. Thank you so much for that. And it's always awesome to see people supporting the content they like to watch. Thank you for that so much. All right, let's get to your question here. $100, dude. Thank you. Aaron Jones writes, thanks for being an inspiration for wanting to chase my dream and studying film and wanting to be more involved in the film community. Just a show of appreciation for all you do and bring on the filthy. Dude, thank you so much for that. And listen, there are a few things as gratifying to me or to anybody really, but for me in particular, there are a few things as gratifying as, you know, when somebody tells me, I checked out this movie because you talked about it. I mean, that's very gratifying as a film fan. But my goal as a content creator is to feed my fellow film fans and my fellow film fan communities, to feed our insatiable desire to talk about this content, and to hopefully create an environment where we can all become even more passionate fans of the content that we love. And for you to write to me and tell me that our show has in some small way participated in helping inspire you to be even more involved in film and things like that, to me, that is like, that's one of the coolest things somebody could say to me. So, Aaron, thank you so much for that. Thank you for supporting us on that level. And I hope nothing but the best success for you in all your future endeavors in pursuing a career in film. Thank you so much for that, man. All right. Aaron, again, thank you, man. Next up, we got James Argento who writes, was the High Evolutionary a good villain? Yes. Yes. High Evolutionary was a good villain. I don't think High Evolutionary is one of the top Marvel villains, but I don't think any of the Guardians of the Galaxy villains have been top level like Thanos, Killmonger, things like those top level, you know, the Josh Brolin's, the Michael B. Jordan, you know, that's your kind of top level Marvel villains. I don't think any of the Guardians of the Galaxy villains have been top level Marvel villains, but I would say High Evolutionary fits in very well with the, you know, with the Ronan the Accusers, with Ego. He fits in very, very well with that conclave of Guardians of the Galaxy villains. So yeah, not a top Marvel villain, but a solid Marvel villain as the other Guardians of the Galaxy villains have been. At least that's my opinion. All right, next up. Science Narrator writes, Florence Pugh is having a great time. Dune 2, Oppenheimer, working with some of the best directors, and she's not even 30 years old. Yeah, listen, it's, pardon me, I had a drop go down the wrong pipe. She's enjoying a moment for sure. Just like Anya Taylor-Joy has kind of dominated the last couple of years. Florence Pugh right now is really the hot commodity at the moment. And why not? She's incredibly talented. She's beautiful. She's got a lot of grace. I love her. And man, I cannot wait to see her in Dune. By the way, did they release, help me out here, guys. Did they release the Dune 2 footage that they showed us at Cinemacon? Does anybody know that right now? I know it takes about 15, we're on about a 15-second delay. You guys are saying, no, they haven't. Oh, they released images, but they didn't release the footage. Oh, guys, the Dune stuff looks so good. The Dune stuff looks so good. We got our first glimpse of Florence Pugh as the princess. And yeah, man, she's having a great moment in her career at like right now. And yeah, it's going to be exciting to see where she goes with it. All right, next up. Captain Dr. Hawkeye writes in again, says, did you have a chance to check out Clerks 3 yet? I did. Okay, it's not Clerks 2 to me, because you guys, Clerks 2 is actually one of the most special movies in my life, and I've explained why a number of occasions. But I thought Clerks 3 was really good, which is great because I've had a hard time really getting into some of the recent Kevin Smith films, but Clerks 3 was wonderful. All right, next up. We already did Science Name. Or Jake Clark writes, which is better, Joyride 2023 or The Flash? See, look, just like we were saying that Guardians of the Galaxy and Flash are different movies, Flash and Joyride are totally different genres, right? They're completely different genres. They're completely different movies. But going back to that to that litmus test of if I had the option of going to see either one of these two tonight again, which one would I go see? Would I go see, if I had the choice tonight, because remember a little bit earlier in today's video, I said if I was given the choice to see Flash again tonight or Guardians of the Galaxy 3 again tonight, by a very small margin, I would probably go see Flash again. In the same scenario, if I had the chance to go see The Flash tonight or go see Joyride tonight, I'm going to go see Joyride tonight. I am going to go watch Joyride tonight. Again, that's not taking anything away. I'm not taking anything away from how great and how much I enjoyed Flash. Not at all. But guys, Joyride is such an experience. And you know, what are movies? Movies are experiential events. Movies are experiential events. And by the way, people are saying I missed a question. I'm looking down the list. I did not miss any questions. I think I got every question there. That was asked. If you're going to say, John, you missed a question, please write in what question it is you think I missed, because I think I got every single one of them there. Anyway, movies are experiential events. Whether it's meant to give a powerful experience, like the power of a drama, whether it's supposed to be a joy experience, like a great comedy, whether it's supposed to be a fear experience like you'd have on a roller coaster ride in a horror film, or whether it's supposed to be a wonder experience, like something like an Avatar or whatever. Movies are ultimately experiential events. And for me, that is kind of how I evaluate a movie. It's not how good was the lighting. Did they use the proper sentence structures in the dialogue, in the screenplay? Did they juxtapose the light and the dark of certain scenery? Like, all that is good. All that is good. And all that contributes to the experience you have with the movie. But at the end of the day, when I personally walk out of a movie theater, I'm not asking myself those questions. I'm asking myself, did I have a great experience? Did I have a great experience? That's why I get frustrated. Like, Martin Scorsese was there, and actually bumped into Martin Scorsese at Cinemacon this weekend. That's a story for another time. But I mean, Martin Scorsese was there, and you remember Martin Scorsese coming out a while ago and saying, comic book movies aren't cinema. Martin Scorsese is the maestro. He's a master. He's one of the greatest of all time. But if I had the chance to sit down with him, I'd say, Martin, you're crazy. Because guess what? He says they're more like, what did Scorsese call comic book movies again? Like amusement park rides, right? Amusement park rides. I would say to him, guess what, Martin? So are your movies. Because even your movies are designed brilliantly to give us an experience. When I go and watch Gangs of New York, you are giving me an experience like an amusement park ride. You're giving me an experience. When I watch Wolf of Wall Street, you are giving me an experience. But guess what? When I go and watch, Get Out, or if I go and watch a comedy like Joyride, or if I go and watch Guardians of the Galaxy or The Flash, all these movies, all these projects are designed to give us an experience. Some are different than others, different types of experience. Every movie is aiming to give us a different kind of an experience, but they're all experiential events, Marty, even your movies. Your movies are great because they deliver great experiences like a theme park ride. And I know that he would bristle to hear me say that, but it's true. It's damn true. Little shout out to Kurt Angle there. It's true. It's damn true. Now, all that came up because we're talking about Joyride. Joyride is such an experience, and so is Flash. But if I had the choice again, that I could go either see Flash tonight again or go see Joyride tonight again, I'm gonna go see Joyride tonight again. But that's just me. All right. Next up, Bartleby Scrivener writes, what films would you say are required viewing before seeing each film? Is the Christmas special required for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Man of Steel for Flash? No. Actually, one of the great things about the Flash movie is while it draws a lot on Man of Steel, it is written in such a way that if you never watched Man of Steel, you would not feel lost. You would know what's going on. You would totally have enough grasp of the narrative to get what's happening, and you don't need to have seen Man of Steel first. Now, will you get a little bit more out of the movie if you've seen Man of Steel first? Yes. But in no way do you feel lost at all. Same thing is true of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 with the holiday special. You're going to pick up on more nuance. You're going to pick up on a few more nuanced things if you've seen the holiday special. You'll appreciate a couple things a little bit more. But are you going to feel lost and not have a grasp on what's going on if you haven't seen the holiday special? Not at all. Both are done really, really well that way. And that is absolutely key, I think. All right. Good question, Bartleby. All right, next up. Captain Dr. Hawkeye writes, John, is Office Virgin still happening? It is not. Office Virgin, which we worked on for a long time. We had, dudes, I'm not going to, let's just say there was interest in an actual original cast member of The Office from participating in Office Virgin with us. But I still can't say who. And that was part of the delay. We'd been working on these behind the scenes deals. For those of you who don't know, we've been working for 6 months on trying to get this thing called Office Virgin up and running, maybe even longer than that. And it was going to be a podcast where we sat down and watched all the episodes of The Office. Me, somebody who's seen all of them 5 or 6 times, and Rob, who had never watched The Office. We had done a pilot. We'd done all that kind of stuff. We had agencies getting involved. At the end of the day, decided not to. We pulled the plug on it, though. Pulled the plug on it. There was, and I'm not going to say why right now. I'm not going to say why. But that is the one, you know what? I don't think I've ever had a project that I've worked on as long as I did for Office Virgin, that I never actually ended up doing. But for several very practical reasons, we just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And yeah, it's too bad too, because we got really close to have a couple of really cool things happening with that, but you know what it is. All right. Slick Nick writes, how is the music in The Flash? Did they bring back themes from Man of Steel or Elfman's Batman theme? I'm not going to answer that question. I will answer the first part of your question, that I thought the music in Flash is really quite good. What they do use and don't use and all that kind of stuff, and what I found funny wasn't there, or whatever. I'm not going to talk about any of that stuff. You can go and see the movie yourself, but I will say I thought the music in the movie was quite good. All right, Johnny Got Lost writes, do you think Sasha Cali, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, will be Supergirl in the DCU? Again, I'm not going to give any of my opinions on that, because even if I answered it negatively or positively, it would give some sort of hint of what does or does not happen in the movie. So I can't answer that, unfortunately. All right. Donaldo Martinez writes, who's the better leader, Captain Picard or Admiral Adama? Ooh. Adama. I'm going to say Adama. Yeah. But they're both great. They're both fictional, fantastic leaders in fiction, but I'm going to lead towards Adama. Ooh, it's a good question though, Donaldo. But yeah, I'll stick with Adama. All right. The Sundowners Club writes, if Lucasfilm gets a new leader soon and a couple of these proposed Star Wars movies get scrapped, would you bring in Andy Muschietti to do a Star Wars movie if you were in charge? Here's the thing. First of all, I already think they've got their next head of Lucasfilm. I believe they already have their next head of Lucasfilm. And I also believe that this big upcoming slate that they announced at Star Wars Celebration was probably done. It was Kathleen Kennedy's decision, but I believe it was probably done in consultation with the next head of Lucasfilm, because you make all these announcements, the next leader of Lucasfilm is going to have to inherit all of that, right? So I don't believe any of the movies that they announced are going to get scrapped, at least not because of a new head of Lucasfilm. They might get scrapped for other reasons, but I don't think it'll be because of that. As far as, hey, should they get this direct? Look, when it comes to a movie, I don't care what director you get for a movie ever, as long as you get a good director. Like, would I get Andy Muschietti to do a Star Wars movie? Well, I mean, sure, but there are about 30 or 40 other directors that I would also totally love to have come in and do a Star Wars movie. Because all that really matters is you bring in a good storyteller. That's really all that matters. And Andy Muschietti fits into that description. Andy Muschietti is a good storyteller. But there are a lot of other directors that are too. So I would be open to Andy Muschietti directing a Star Wars movie. It's not like I would have to feel like, oh, we got to get Andy to direct one. It just, I'd be totally open to it, but I don't think there's a need to get specifically Andy to do it. All right. Let's see. Next up, Jake Clarkwright. John David Washington as T'Challa over Kang in Secret Wars. Either, whatever, X actor, X role. I mean, John David Washington, it could be anybody other than John David Washington. There could be 10 people that would be way better at doing it than John David Washington. Again, all I care about is get a really good actor for those roles. I don't see them bringing T'Challa back, not the real T'Challa. They should have. They totally should have, but they didn't, so I don't see that happening anyway. All right, R. Wicks123 writes, check out Jedi Survivor. It's actually really good. Yeah, I'm planning on it. I am planning on getting Jedi Survivor. Again, I've been gone all week, but sometime in the upcoming week, I'm going to be sitting down and trying some Jedi Survivor myself. Thanks for the recommendation of that, R. Wicks. All right, Mr. 47 writes, had a double feature of Evil Dead Rise and Sisu. Oh, I can't wait to watch Sisu. A bloody good time at both. Also, Jedi Survivor is freaking dope so far. Check him out. Yeah, listen. Sisu, I have been dying to see Sisu ever since I saw the first trailer. And they did a little bit of something for it at Cinemacon this year too. I cannot wait to watch this movie. I am dying to watch this movie. I actually might run out and watch it tomorrow. Ann and I have big plans tonight, but I might try to run out and go see Sisu tomorrow because I've been really, really excited about watching that one, Mr. 47, like a lot. I'm glad you liked it, man. All right, Ron H. writes, I recently got my golden ticket. It's been a great time with the John Campea Show crew community. May you all be showered with gold. Golden showers for everyone. Oh, wait. What is a golden ticket? What is, am I missing the analogy? I mean, that's a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory thing, but what does that mean specifically? Are you talking about the new Willy Wonka movie? Anyway, by the way, guys, did they drop the new Willy Wonka trailer? I know they showed us some footage and a new Willy Wonka trailer at Cinemacon. Oh, I get it, Rod. The gold ticket you get for being a member for 12 months. Got it. Thank you, Rod. I appreciate that. I missed that. And of course, it's a comparison with Willy Wonka. But did they release the Willy Wonka? No, you guys are all saying no. Guys, listen. I know the cool thing when they said they're going to do a new Willy Wonka. It was like, oh, nobody wants a new Willy Wonka, blah, 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 blah. I understand that. I get that. Guys, if you saw all the stuff they showed us from the new Willy Wonka movie being directed by the guy who directed Paddington 1 and Paddington 2, which are two fucking phenomenal movies, by the way, and stars who I think is going to be the next Daniel Day-Lewis and Timothée Chalamet, you guys would be singing a different song, I believe. This movie looks really good. This new Willy Wonka looks really good. And I get it. Everybody everywhere was like, oh, this is going to suck. Blah, blah. It's the cool thing, right? Like, you're not cool if you say you're actually looking forward to this movie. That's fine. I've never given a shit about being the cool guy. Clearly. This movie looks really good. And I'm telling you, it looks really, I remember Rob and I were talking about it afterwards. It's like, yeah, man, like, what the hell? This like, and guess I shouldn't I shouldn't be too terribly surprised because, again, it's being made by the guy who made, Paddington 1 and 2. But it looks really, really good. Anyway, Ron, thank you for being a member for 12 months, man. I really appreciate that. And now I realize, we're starting to see gold tickets pop up beside their names. So thank you so much for that, man. Appreciate that. All right. Next up, we got Ethan Holgate who writes, "Hey, John, have you seen okay, let me try this again. Hi, John, have you seen or you a fan of the movie Office Space?" Oh, I love Office Space. Yeah, I'm going to need you to come on in this weekend. A fan of the movie Office Space. My dad has worked in an office his whole life and tells me this movie is extremely accurate. Oh, yeah, listen, as somebody who has worked in like a law office and like any kind of office, Office Space is brilliant. And I know it speaks horribly of me, but one of the hardest laughs I've ever seen in a movie was when the lead character is talking to his next door neighbor. And I'm paraphrasing a bit. Some of you might know the line I'm about to say. But he turns to him and says, "What would you do if you had $1 million?" And his neighbor just says, "2 chicks at once." I don't know why, but that caught me so off guard. And the scene where they take out, I think it's the printer, when they take the printer out into the field, and just start beating the shit out of the printer as they're playing this gangster rap. I'll tell you what, man, Office Space is a movie you have to watch. It may not be for you. I'm not saying you'll necessarily consider it to be one of the greatest comedies of all time or anything like that. It might not work for you, but so many comedy movies have been influenced by Office Space that you'd need to watch it. If you haven't seen it yet, get a couple of buddies together, sit down and watch it. It's low budget. It's all this, but it's a really good movie. I like it. There was a glitch in the payroll system, says Wildebeest. Very good. All right. Let's see. 24K Logan writes, "Would you want to see another Tupac biopic if done correctly?" Honestly, I never look forward to musical biopics. That doesn't mean there aren't musical biopics that don't come out that I really enjoy, but I would never ask for them. So I would say this about any musical artist. Probably not. They already took a swing at it with the Tupac one, but yeah, but I would say that for any musical. I'm just not I'm not big on the idea of musical artist biopics. That's just me. All right. Ricky Diaz writes, "Did we talk about what the big surprise might be in Fast 10? I believe it will be Paul Walker's character showing up at the end." Yeah. So where that comes from is Michelle Rodriguez said the other day that we can't believe what we did at the end of this movie. Right. So the speculation has started. What will that big surprise be? Maybe, what's Paul Walker's character's name again? It's Dom and Brian. Is Brian the name of the other character? Warlocks is saying Brian. Okay. As is Dad Boy 22 and the Grimm. So Brian, I wouldn't be shocked if they did. I mean, listen, Paul Walker's family and his brothers have said they would like to bring his character back. And so, I mean, if the family wants it, I could maybe see them doing it. I don't know if that's it, although it's not a bad thing. Other than that, I don't know what else. I mean, they went to space in the last one, for heaven's sakes. I don't know what else it could possibly be. We'll find out. All right, next up. Logan Hoyt. You know what the biggest surprise would be in Fast 10? Dead serious. 100% dead serious. The biggest surprise they could do at the end of Fast 10 is Dwayne Johnson shows back up. That would be the biggest surprise. Like, wouldn't it? Like Hobbs showing up? Like that would be completely shocking. Or Colonel Sanders in the live chat just says, or Dom. Dom dying in Fast 10 would easily be the biggest surprise they get. Like that would shock everybody. But then of course he would come back to life as a superhero. But I mean that or Dwayne Johnson actually showing up. I don't know. One of the two. All right. Thanks for that, Ethan. Let's see. Where are we at next? Oh, sorry. That was Ricky, not Ethan. Sorry about that. Next up, we got Logan Hoyne who writes, Saw G3 last night. That's Guardians 3, I'm assuming. No spoilers, but there's one shot that was pretty gory / visceral for a PG-13 film. But damn, such a good movie. Favorite MCU since Endgame. By the way, also more swearing. I will tell you this. There is more swearing in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 than I think there has ever been in any Marvel film. Not enough to get an R rating, but more swearing. And yeah, there are a couple of scenes, man, a couple of scenes that will will disturb some people. Some scenes that will disturb some people. So yeah, Logan, you're completely right about that, man. Absolutely right about that. All right. Gnome writes, just came back from the Dungeons and Dragons movie and had a blast, and I'm not a fan of the game. 4 days away from Guardians, the hype is real. Dude, one of the best things about the Dungeons and Dragons movie, and I've said this a few times, is the fact I love hearing from people who have never played Dungeons and Dragons. Because like, as somebody who's played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, I love all the love letter stuff that's in it. There's so much love letter material in the movie to the game. But I remember saying coming out of it, like, I wonder how people who have never played Dungeons and Dragons will feel about this movie. And I loved hearing from so many people who have never played D&D. And by the way, you should play some D&D. But I loved hearing from people who have never played D&D that they loved the movie too. And Dungeons and Dragons is just a great film. If you haven't seen it yet, guys, and considering when you look at its box office, not a lot of you have seen it. Totally should see it. Go watch Dungeons and Dragons if you still have a chance, if it's still playing in a theater year. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Hell of a lot of fun. All right. Thanks for that, Gnome. Next up, Mum Raw, the Ever Living writes, useless fact, Kevin Costner grew up in Compton, California. I didn't know that. You'd think he was grown up in Utah or Missouri or Montana or something like that. But I never knew that. That's interesting to know. All right. Dark Reunion writes, the Marvel's trailer felt Love and Thunder in tone. I don't disagree with that. Now, but what I would follow that up with is, while Thor Love and Thunder, the movie, ended up being a big step down from Ragnarok, I thought the trailers were quite good. Like, even though I ended up thinking that Love and Thunder was a big step down from Ragnarok, I still thought the trailers were quite good. So I would agree with you in the sense that I think the Marvel's trailer feels the same in tone as the Thor Love and Thunder trailer did. But that has nothing to do with the movies themselves. And I actually thought the trailers for Love and Thunder were quite good. So I really like the trailer for the Marvels, to be honest. Now, I don't know if that means the movie's going to end up being any good or not, but I think the trailers look pretty good. All right. Thanks for that, Mumra. Or no, that was Dark Union. Armored Saiyan writes, a can of soup saves lives. I'm sure that's a reference to something, but I'm not sure what it is. Fanimator writes, just saw Return of the Jedi twice in theaters. My first Star Wars theatrical film was Force Awakens. Saw Jedi only 2 times. I want to watch Return of the Jedi a 3rd time. I know they brought Return of the Jedi back to theaters. Obviously, I've been in Vegas. Is this still out in theaters? Does anybody know? Is Return of the Jedi still in theaters? Did they put it back? Because I would love... Return of the Jedi, to me, is the greatest Star Wars movie ever made. And people are saying, yes, it is. Okay, I'm going to try to see Sisu and Return of the Jedi tomorrow on the big screen. And I get it. Most Star Wars fans, I acknowledge this, most Star Wars fans would peg Empire Strikes Back as the greatest Star Wars movie. I totally respect that because it's awesome. It's freaking one of the greatest films of all time. But... yeah, Return of the Jedi to me has always been the best Star Wars movie. It's just, yeah. And we could have debates about that for days, but to me, that's the best one. All right. Thanks, Fanimator. I'm glad you had a chance to see it, dude. The Hunt for Gollum writes, will Anne still work when you retire? Will you move back to Canada then? Yes. When I retire, Anne is still going to work. Anne is in the midst, which is one of the reasons why she's going and getting her doctorate right now, so she can continue to work. But like Anne's a lot younger than me. I mean, Anne is 12 years younger than me. So, but the great thing about Anne's career right now is that her career is completely remote, and so when I retire, we can literally go anywhere and do anything. because she works remotely. Like, her company is actually based near Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. She's actually flying out to Pennsylvania for a week here in a bit to actually go to the corporate offices, but she can work from anywhere. You know, she's a big vice president now, and she's pretty soon she's going to be Dr. Campea. And her plan is to work for another 10, 15 years. But again, the great thing about it is the fact that she can do it from anywhere. So we can go to Canada, which we will probably do. At some point, we're going to end up living in Canada at some point, but we can go and live on the East Coast. We can live on the West Coast. We can go and live in, we can go live in Portland for a while if we want to. We can go live in Seattle for a while if we want to. We can do whatever we want. We can get a camper van and just live on the road for a year if we want to. I mean, that's one of the great things about our situation. And one of the reasons why she also really wants me to retire soon, so we can have that flexibility and do whatever it is we want to do. So there's that. All right. Next up, we've got Captain Dr. Hawkeye writes, "Hey, John, just wondering, does Sony and Disney both share the rights to Kingpin? Otherwise, how was Sony able to use him as the villain in Spider-Verse?" There is a differentiation between animated and live action. All right. There is a difference and a separation in the rights between animated and live action. So I'm not saying, I don't know specifically what's in their deals for that, but just because Sony does something in an animated form, or just because Disney does something in an animated form, that does not necessarily give us any insight to how the rights exist in live action, because they are handled as two separate things. It's a great question, but they're handled differently. The animation doesn't really have a reflection on what happens in live action. Anyway, great question though, Captain Hawkeye. All right, next up. We're at Joshua Langston, who writes, "Hey, John, the Mario's movie is hitting 1 billion this weekend. Yes, it is, per estimates. What do you think is next with the Nintendo on film? Sequel, definitely, but what else? Thank you." To me, the only real answer to that is Zelda. That's it. I mean, that's the only thing else that Nintendo has that comes even remotely close to the longevity, multi-generational aspect that Mario has. That's Zelda. Not to mention Zelda as a framework and as source material has some really great potential for some very dramatic storytelling. It could be done very, very, very well. So yes, Mario sequels. And then after that, I think the answer clearly is Zelda. I'm seeing people saying stuff like Metroid and Kirby. Guys, yeah, but none of those are remotely as popular as Zelda and Link. None of them are as remotely as popular as Mario. Like, there's Mario and Zelda, and then there's everything else down underneath it. And like I'm seeing Awadi in the live chat saying Zelda doesn't speak. Yeah, in the games, well, Link doesn't speak. In the games, you don't hear Link's voice in the games, but yeah, Link will speak in the movies. They definitely will. Definitely will. All right. Thanks, Joshua. Next up, we got Amin, who writes, "Fun fact, in the world of The Last of Us, HBO, no one got to see Return of the King, at least not in the theaters. Just imagine, what would you do?" That's true. If you consider the timeline of everything, they got to see the first two Lord of the Rings movies, but they never got to see. That, of course, would be the biggest tragedy of the Cordyceps outbreak, was the fact that the world didn't get to see Return of the King. That's the big issue, man. Actually, that's good food for thought. All right. Ron H. writes, "Happy Canadian income tax weekend, April 29th, 30th. May you all get big money back from the government." I'm going to tell you what. It's also tax season in the States. And I'm not going to tell you the exact number. There ain't no getting money back for me. Being a small business owner, man. Whoo. I had my big, fateful phone call with my accountant. I have a great accountant. and I found out what my tax bill was going to be this year. And yeah, it's a lot. I ain't gonna lie, man. It hurt. I mean, every year it hurts, but this year it really hurt. And you know, that comes. The flip side of that coin is that when you have a big, huge tax bill, that means you had a good year. And sure enough, it's true. I mean, I had my best year ever this past year. 2022 was my best year ever. And so that's the good thing. I mean, if you get a high tax bill, that means you probably had a pretty good year. And we did have a good year, but wow, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for how big the tax bill was. It's really fucking big. It's really, really big. And yeah. Now people are saying just move to Texas or whatever. The biggest part of the tax bill is the federal tax. It's not the state tax. And yeah, the state tax was big. The state tax was big. But I mean, the worst part is the federal. Is the federal taxes. I mean, then you combine it with the state taxes. I'm not going to give numbers, but it really took a ball peen hammer and slammed me in the balls. Kind of things. I was like, oh my God, it hurt. It hurt. All right, next up. Min writes, The Flash or No Way Home, which is the better film? Flash. Hey, listen, I really like No Way Home. I do. I think No Way Home's a wonderful film, but it also had more issues than people care to admit, I think. Like, very good. I love it. I saw it multiple times in theaters. But I think Flash is a slightly better film, to be honest with you, overall. But that's just me. And guys, that'll do it. Perfect timing, almost 2 hours on the nose. Guys, that'll do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you guys so much for being here and making this little video a part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the tip questions and, of course, sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the John Campea Show and our channel. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Guys, don't forget, the John Campea Show returns on Monday. We're back here in studio. Make sure you come back and join me and Chris and Jonathan and Ray. Looking forward to having you guys there. And you know what I'm going to do? Why not? Without needing to use Super Chat or anything, I'm just going to look to you guys in the live chat here. And if you guys have any questions for me, do me a favor. Start your question with an asterisk so I know it's a question. So I'm going to put in the live chat right now. 2 asterisks. This is a question. See that? I got 2 asterisks. If you guys got a quick question for me, I'm not going to read them all. I'll pick a couple to read off here. Go ahead and fire in if you're watching live, a live question, and we'll go. And so, yeah, Ian's got a question there, but you guys in the live chat can answer that for him. Joseph Cox is asking thoughts on Palm Clementif in the MI7 footage. Yeah, for those, I didn't even realize Palm Clementif, who plays Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy, she's one of the villains in Mission Impossible 7. Or is this new one 7 or 8? Whatever. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. She looks great in it. She looks really, really good in it. Let's see. Steve Munguena was writing, best part about Cinemacon this year. So many panels other than Disney's panel, which Disney's panel took a big shit. I don't know what was. Disney had a great panel presentation last year. Their presentation this year was lackluster at best. But besides Disney's, all the other panels were really great. I gotta say the screening for Joy Luck. I gotta say the screening for Joyride. Because Joyride was originally called the Joy Fuck Club, which sounds ridiculous, but it's true. That was the original name of the movie. But Joyride, I think for me, was the best part. Let's see what else we got here. Charles writes, will the Leafs win tonight? No, because they're the Leafs and they always choke. Dad Boy writes, does Guardian 3 give you more confidence in Gunn's DCU? Yes, it does. Yeah. yeah, watching how good, again, it's not the best MCU movie of all time or anything like that. I prefer Flash, but Guardians 3 is really good, and it does just give me more confidence in what James Gunn is going to do in the future moving forward. Let's see. How does DJ's writing? How does the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy compare to the other MCU trilogies? I don't know. I haven't really thought of it in those terms before. I will say this. For now, I'll just leave it off of what I said before about this movie. This Guardians 3 is a very satisfying ending to the Guardians story. It's a very, very satisfying ending. So I'll just kind of leave that at that for now. Let's see here. Irene Jobson, thoughts on the Ewoks? You know what my thoughts on the Ewoks are. Come on. Wildebeest is asking a question that was already asked in the super chat, so there's no need to go there. Jorge Luis writes, upcoming movies you are most excited for besides Spider-Verse. I'll tell you what, there's a number of movies that they showcased at Cinemacon this year, but one of the ones that really, really, really has my attention that I did not have before was Dumb Money. They showed us some stuff from this. Paul Dano, Seth Rogen, Nick Offerman. This movie, it's based on the true story of the GameStop meme stock. That's what it's based. So based on a true story about what went on with GameStop and all the meme stocking and all that kind of stuff. It looks incredible. I am dying to see that movie. So that's one that really jumps out to me a lot. Let's see here. Thoughts on opening weekend for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm going to take a wild stab at 150. 150 will be my wild stab as a guess. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to take a wild guess at 150 million opening weekend. We'll see. Let's see. Let's go on here. All right. Yeah, that'll do it. Now we'll take it. You know what? My voice is starting to go. It's been 2 hours and I'm by myself here. All right, guys, make sure you come back and join us on Sunday. Thanks so much for everything, guys. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.